Kelvin, please mute your microphone.
Nanama, will he be available?
Yes, it will. We're only 29 in the class, so there's no way he's teaching now. You have to wait for like 30 minutes.
Please, then when he comes, inform me because I don't really have that much data. I'll run out before it ends.
Okay, sure.
Hi, please, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
I hope
Yes, sir.
everyone is good. Good afternoon once again. I think we can start now. If there's any issue, then probably we switch to the Zoom. If no issue, then we go ahead with the Teams. Okay. Is any question? Last time we met, before you went for your IE, we started looking at trees. Any question on that?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead. If someone want to ask a question, can you go ahead? Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
So first time I will
Come again.
update it.
Is it my network that is bad or your end? It's coming from your end. It's coming from my end or the person who's asking the questions end? The person asking the question.
I believe the person asking the questions end.
Okay, good. So at least we are good to go, right?
Yes, sir.
So the last time we didn't finish with the trees, right? So I'm getting some feedback that please go over the trees, then we continue. All right, I'm coming. I'm just trying to share my screen. Let me take it out from there, right? Okay, I believe you cannot see my screen. Please, can you all see my share screen?
No, please. No.
Oh, please, okay, I can now see.
Yes.
Yes,
Please.
please.
Okay. So the last time we met, we started with the trees. And we got to some level and we have to stop. So I'll quickly go over it, then we can kickstart with graphs as well. All right. So the recommended textbook is the Discrete Mathematics and its Application by Rosen. And then with regard to trees, the chapter 11 is what we're going to use. So we know for sure that a tree is a type of nonlinear data structure like what we came across the last time. And the data structure basically deals with the way we can store and organize data elements in computer memory. So for linear data structures, can you mute yourself, Felix? For linear data structures, all we need to do is we just need to be able to understand the fact that elements are accessed sequentially from the first to the end. Basically that. Nonlinear elements are accessed non-sequentially, meaning that you can start from any node at all. So in the tree, we're going to look at the fact that there is a particular node called the root, and then the remaining ones down there are what we call the leaves, okay? But that is the vice versa when you look at a tree in real life situation. A tree in real life situation will have the root and then the leaves on top, okay? So we came across some applications of trees whereby we can be able to look at it in the form of hierarchical administrative structure of a corporation. In terms of, please mute yourself, please. In terms of word processor, we can also deal with it in that way. Example can also deal in terms of products, categories. If you want to buy something online, the way you can be able to navigate through the various products to be able to access women staff or men staff, right? That actually deals with how the tree organization does. So there are some applications we looked at, many of them. Even with the game theory, you can be able to use trees to be able to do that modeling as well. Now, so what is tree when we talk of it? So basically, a tree deals with a finite number of nodes, right? Or a single node, whereby one of the nodes is dedicated to be called the root node. So it's a special node, which we call the root node. And the remaining nodes are partitioned into n is really greater than 0, provided there are more than one nodes. Or if there's only one node, remember the definition says that it is just one node or more than one node. If there's only one node, then that particular node will be the root and we're good to go. If there's more than one node, then we can ideal situation say that one of the nodes is dedicated as the root node. The remaining nodes basically is disorganized from or disconnected from the root node, which now becomes what we refer to as what? Disjoint subtrees. And the disjoint subtree is what we refer to as forest. So we're going to look at some terminologies and we understand it. So meaning what I'm just saying is very simple. Assuming I have this particular, please can you see my cursor? My pointer, sorry. Can you see the pointer moving around A?
No.
You cannot see that.
No, please.
Okay. What about now?
No, sir.
Can you see the red pointer around the node A?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that root node A is what we refer to as a root. Now, the node connecting to A is a B. Another node connecting to A is a C. Another node connecting to a D, to the A is a D. If I disconnect A from B, I'm going to have B, J, H, I as an independent subtree. The same way, if I disconnect C from A, I'm going to have C, E, F as an independent subtree. Lastly, when I disconnect D from A, I'm going to have B standing on its own as an independent subtree. Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, please, I wanted you to check it again. You said when you disconnect A from B. Yes, please.
If I disconnect A from B, right? It means that this connector is no longer there. Meaning that BJHI will stand on its own. Can you see that? And that's going to form
Yes, sir.
another tree, which you call subtree on its own. Likewise, if I disconnect C from A, I'm also going to have CEF standing on its own, called another subtree. And lastly, if I disconnect D from A, D will stand alone, which is another subtree. So that's why we are saying that for a tree, we can have one of the nodes, in this case A, which is going to be called the root node. And then the remaining nodes are partitioned into n greater than or equal to 0 disjoint set, T1, T2, all the way to Tn, where each of these sets is called a tree. So you can see that BJHI is a tree, basically a subtree. CEF is also another subtree, and then D is another subtree. So these T1, T2, T3 are basically what we call the subtrees from the root node A. So if we have it in that way, then we can be able to call this one a tree. And remember, these subtrees, as we move on, we're going to look at it to be called a forest, right? So once we have this, then we can have a tree established. If I come to the second scenario, right, which you can see here, realize that for the second scenario, there's a little bit difference from the first scenario. Meaning that if I disconnect the B and so forth, right? If I'm going to disconnect B from A, see what happens here. B from A, I'm going to have B, J, H, I, E standing on its own. Let me use the marker to write that. So can you see that? This one is going to stand on its own. Now again, if I'm going to disconnect unlike this, right? So if you check this, realize in this case, they stand on its own as a subtree. Likewise, if I want to be able to pick a different one, in this case, let's see. There's no overlap. But when I come here, there's going to be an overlap of a particular node. So because E overlaps in the first subtree and the second subtree, we cannot call this particular structure as a tree because of the overlap. Of course, if I'm picking the D, D stands on its own. Can you see that? So that's why we can say that this is a tree.
Hello, sir.
But this one is not a tree. Yes.
And sir, please, it looks like your pointer is playing. So I'm actually not, it's not telling me what you are saying, please.
I don't understand.
I mean the drawings, like the marker you're using. It's like it's not telling with what you're saying. Like your mouth is moving faster than the indications, the drawings you're making.
Okay. So, but now you can see all the drawings fully made, right?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. So all I'm saying is that for the first one on the left, you realize that the red indicator forms BJHI as a subtree on its own. Then when I come to CEF, it also forms another subtree on its own. But let me clean this well so that someone will not have an issue with me. Then maybe let me draw it too. Okay, yeah, this will work. So realize that for this case, no matter what it entails, there's no overlap. But when I come to the right, there is an overlap. E is in the first subtree indicated in red. The same E is also in the second subtree indicated with the E with a green. And because of that, we cannot call this particular whole structure as a tree, because there is an E which is in the first subtree, and that same E is in the second subtree. So that's what I'm trying to explain for you to understand. Okay. So
Yeah.
at least we
Hello,
can
please,
move
sir.
on. Yes. Please, I
Yeah,
can
please.
hear
So
you.
the A itself can also be another tree on its own.
Yes, if A has no other nodes, A can be a tree on its own. That is why we said that a tree is a set of one or more nodes. So even if I have a single node, we can call it a tree. And that is why the D here stands on its own as a subtree, because it obeys the definition. So if the A was standing alone, it can still be called a tree. Is that okay?
Yes, please, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we move on. So of course, there are some things we came across. We realized that for a parent, right, a parent will have a number of nodes branching from it. So if I go back here, I can say that B is a parent to J, H, I. C is a parent to E and F. Of course, C and B can be seen as siblings. In fact, with D. The same way, if I come down, J, H, I can also be called siblings or children of B. The same way I can call E and F children of C. But D has no child, so that's good. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Now, the number of subtrees of a node is called its degree. Okay. So in this situation, if I come to A has how many subtrees? 3. So I can say that the degree of A is 3. The same way, if I come to B has 3 subtrees. So I can say that the degree of B is also 3. Likewise, the degree of C is 2. And of course, the degree of D is 0 because D has no subtree. So I've talked about siblings. Now let's look at the external and then internal nodes. So if I come here, I can say that J, H, I, E, F, D can be called external nodes. Another name for external nodes is what we refer to as what? Leaves. Another name for that is what we call the terminal nodes. So where the red pointer is moving, all those nodes are regarded as the leaves or the external nodes or the terminal nodes. Now, any node apart from all these things in red or highlighted in red, basically is what we refer to as the internal nodes. So A, B, C are what we refer to as the internal nodes. Another name for it is what we call the non-terminal nodes. Okay, so non-terminal nodes or the internal nodes. Again, the degree of a tree is the maximum degree of the nodes of the tree. So every particular node will have a degree. So if you remember, I mentioned that the degree basically deals with the number of subtrees of a particular node. So A will have 3 subtrees, C will have 2 subtrees, B will have 3 subtrees, D will have 0 subtrees. So at this situation, the maximum degree of a node can be regarded as the degree of the whole tree. So because E has degree of 3, A also has degree of 3, we can describe the whole degree of the tree as 3. So basically, that's what you need to be able to understand. Again, we can also know what you call the height of a tree. Now, for the height of a tree, basically what you are saying is very simple. To be able to get a height, we need to be able to know that each particular node is seen as on a level. So A will be on level 0, B, C, D will be on level 1, and then J, H, I, E, F will be on level 2. Hence, I can be able to say that the height of this particular tree is 2 because the maximum level is what is 2. It is either called the height or the depth of the tree. Now, for ancestor, so before that, let me finish with the height. So that is it before I go to ancestor. The height or the depth of a tree is defined as the maximum level of any node in the tree. And we have been told that for you to be able to know the level, we need to be able to make sure that the root node will be at level 0 and the others will follow suit. Again, the ancestor of a node are all the nodes along the path from the root to that particular node. So if I am at J and I want to be able to know the ancestor of J, I can be able to describe all the nodes from A, B. So A, B will be the ancestors of that particular node J. The same way, if I also want to get a descendant, I can be able to be at A, and the descendants will be those who are branching from the A, right? In this case, all the children here can be classified as a descendant of a particular node A. Let's see whether we can get some example. Of course, the path basically will deal with all the edges. So for you to be able to find a path, you need to be able to know the two nodes under consideration, right? The path will connect two nodes. One can be a source node and the other one can be a destination node. So all the nodes along that particular path is what we refer to as the path. The node at level I is at a distance of I from the root. The size of a tree is a total number of nodes in it, right? So once you count all the total number of nodes, that becomes the size of the tree. So in this case, I can be able to count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the size or the cardinality of this particular tree data structure is 9. Let's see whether this example will work. Sumala, please mute yourself. Sumala, Saida, please. Please, when you join, mute yourself. So I've disabled Saida's mic. If you keep on disturbing, I'll disable your mics. So when you join, can you mute yourself? All right, let's move on. So this is an example. We can be able to have the root node, which is the A, right? Let me just show the pointer shortly. The root node, which is the A, right, at level 0. And then B and C will be at level 1. Now, if I come down, I can be able to have the others in this case, which is going to deal with what? D, E, F, J, H. D, E, F, J, H. Also at level 2. And then the I alone will be at level 3. So at this situation, I don't need the switch here to let me know that the height or the depth of this particular tree structure is 3 because the maximum level is 3. Again, I can now also know that it's trivial to know that A is a root node. Of course, B is a parent of D and E, right? B is a parent of D and E. Again, C is also the parent of F, J, H. And of course, H will be the parent of I. So the vice versa, I can say that D and E are children of B. F, J, H are also children of C. And then I is a child of H. Now, in terms of ancestor, I can be able to say that A, of course, is the ancestor to D and E. The same A is an ancestor to F, J, H. In fact, that same A can be an ancestor to I. So to get a descendant, I can be able to know the children of A basically will be D and E. The same children of A can also come from F, J, H, I. this can be descendant of that particular node A. Now, if you want to be able to know the external nodes or the terminal nodes or the leaves, I can go for D, E, F, J, and A and I. Okay, so I, J, F, E, D basically becomes the leaves or the terminal nodes or the external nodes. For me to be able to have the internal nodes, I'm going to have B, C, H as well as A. So any node which is not an external or a leaf node or a terminal node becomes an internal node or a non-terminal node. Of course, we've talked about the level already. A is at level 0, B, C at level 1, D, E, F, G, H at level 2, I is at level 3. So if I want to get a degree, the degree basically of A would do the subtrees, in this case 1 and then 2. The degree of B will be D and E. The degree of C will be F, J, H, I. And lastly, the degree of H will be I. So the total degree of the whole tree will be the maximum degree a particular node can take, which in this case will be 3. Why? Because C has a maximum degree. So the whole tree will have a degree of what? Of 3. Of course, the size, we can easily count them to have total number of nodes, which basically will be 9, and then we are good to go. So this way we go to the binary tree. So let's go ahead with the binary tree. Let's see whether we can understand some concepts here. So when we talk of a binary tree, basically a binary tree is a finite set of nodes. That basically is going to, from the name binary, at this situation, when you hear of binary, okay, Nelson, Hannah, please go ahead.
Please, can I see the degree as just the cardinality?
No, I will not take that. When you do that, you might get it wrong. For example, if you see C, and you want to probably talk about the cardinality in terms of the size of all the nodes branching from C, you get it wrong. Because all the nodes branching from C will have F, J, H, I, which will give you 4.
Okay.
By this situation, the degree of C is basically 3. Because if I do the disconnection, I'm going to have F standing on its own, that is 1, J standing on its own, and then H and I standing on its own. That'll give you the third one. So you cannot go with the cardinality here. You get it wrong. Okay.
Thank you.
I think we can move on, right? So, so basically, a binary tree will deal with a finite set of nodes that is either empty or consists of a root and 2 disjoint binary trees called the left and right subtrees. A binary tree can be defined recursively as a single node with either no child or with two children. So one thing you have to know is that the maximum a binary tree can go in terms of children having or bearing is 2. It cannot go more than 2. So at this situation, you should be able to know that this particular structure is not a binary tree because C has more than 2 children. So let me see whether something important is here. So a binary tree is allowed to have 0 nodes, whereas in other trees, there must be at least 1 node. So for binary tree, if a particular child does not have anyone branching from it, it is still good to go to be called a binary tree. But if it has more than 2, then it cannot be able to be classified as a binary tree. So the maximum a binary tree can go in terms of the number of children or the degree is expected to be 2. So in this case, I can be able to have another example whereby I can keep track of all the elements in a form of an array, right? I can have a left and then a right, and data elements can be stored accordingly, okay? So are these binary trees? Based on the definition of binary tree, can we call this a binary tree? If you check, you realize that this is a root node. It branches here, 2 of them maximum. Maximum, this has 1 child. And then there's another child, the maximum 2 from this parent. And then this also has 1 child. This has 2 children. And then when I come here, I can have this as what? One node, and then 1 node. So I can classify the whole of this left side as a binary tree because it doesn't validate. You see, when I come here, it has 1 child. This one too has 1 child. It is still within the binary tree terrain. Then lastly, I can also say that this will have 2 children, which is okay. This will have 1 child. This will have 1 child. Nelson, please go ahead. Nelson, I see your hand up. You have a question? What was the previous hand? Okay, so we move on. So there are some terminologies we need to understand. There's something called a strict or proper binary tree, whereby in this case, each node will have either 2 or 0 children, basically that. So a strict or proper binary tree, every node can have 0 child or 2 children at a time. A complete binary tree, here all levels except the last level are completely filled, and all the nodes are as left as possible. So you can complete all the various levels. When you get to the last level, you are expected to fill it to the left. So this particular one cannot be a complete binary tree because this is left hanging. These two should have been here. So basically, that's how the complete binary tree is. All levels have to be filled except the last level, which when it has to be filled, it has to be filled as left as possible. So this basically is also not a complete binary tree, but this is a complete binary tree because you can see all the nodes are pushed to the left. Then we also come to the perfect binary tree. So for perfect, every node, every level is completely filled. That's what we call it the perfect binary tree. No omissions, okay? Now, if I have a perfect binary tree and I want to be able to find the maximum number of nodes in such a perfect binary tree, who can be able to tell me how I'll get there? You can give it a try. So in other words, I have 2 to the power h plus 1, or minus 1. And basically this is the same as your n, right? So let me see what I can write it here. So in this case, I'm saying that my n is equal to 2 raised to the power h plus 1. Or minus 1. So I want you to be able to look at this and make h the subject. Then let me see. So make h the subject from here. Make h the subject in this equation. You have 3 minutes. Okay, make h subjects in this equation. They will solve it together. Okay, so let's go ahead. Is anyone has been able to do it? Anyone has been able to make H the subject? Anyone?
Hello,
Can you hear
sir.
me? Yes,
Hello,
Adrian.
sir. Please, I
Yes,
had
please, I can hear you.
H to be equal to the root of H into bracket n plus 1 all over 2.
Okay, that's a long one. I'm sorry. That's not correct. Anyone else? Chairman,
H equal to
please go ahead.
Yeah, so when I tried solving, I had H to be n minus 1 over 2.
Minus 1 over 2. That is not right. Anyone else? Anyone
Say
else?
one.
Dorcas, you had 1.
Yes, sir.
That's the number 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. That one is also not right. Okay, anyone else?
Hello?
So use logarithm. Or
Yeah, so what did you get?
H is equal to 2.
Hello.
H equals to 2. That's also
Hello,
wrong.
sir.
H
Hello, sir.
plus 1.
Yes.
Log 2 into
Hello,
bracket
sir.
10 plus 1 minus 1.
Log 2 into brackets what?
Plus 1
The one talking about
minus
log.
1.
so H is
I
equal
don't really
to
get
n
you
minus
there.
1.
H equals to n minus 1 is wrong.
Yeah, H is equal to
Okay.
2n plus 1.
2n plus 1 is
Hello,
wrong.
sir.
All right, so let's stop it together. Someone was talking about something on the log, but I wasn't really getting right, but he was getting the answer correct. So let's do it together, right?
Okay.
All right, so let's follow what is going on here, right? So in this case, you're expected to make H the subject, right? We assume to make it the subject, 2 has the power H plus 1. So the first thing we need to do is that we can move this minus 1 to the left-hand side. So that we're going to have n plus 1.
Hello, sir. Please, in case you are writing, we can't see.
Sir, please, we can't see you. We can't see what you're writing.
It's slow. The system
Can
is
anyone see what I'm writing?
slow. No, please. The system is slow.
But is it showing now?
No.
Not yet.
Hey. But what I wrote at the top here, can you see? N equals
Yes,
to 2 raised to the power H plus 1. That one you saw.
Yes, sir.
It's minus 1. Yes.
No. Okay. All right. So this one too will appear. So let me keep on writing. When it appears, I'll walk you through it now. Okay. So please mute. Please mute. Kindly mute. Okay. So what you have to do here is, since you have 2 raised to the power H plus 1, and you want to be able to make H stand on its own, the best thing you need to do is to find the log to the base 2 of both sides. So at this situation, I'm going to have log to the base 2 of n plus 1.
minus
And of
1.
course, the right hand side, it's not -1 because the -1 has moved to the left, so it's not plus. So that's going to give me log again here to the base 2. Then I'm going to have 2 standing on its own. Then h plus 1. Okay. Now, in here, it's obvious that if you remember your rules in logarithm, this h plus 1 can actually come in front of the log. So that I can have h plus 1 log 2 to the base 2. And of course, I can maintain this. So this is going to give me log 2 here. Of course, this will be n plus 1. Sometimes when you're writing, forget your brackets. It's very important. To be equal to, then this, h plus 1 will come in front. And I can put the whole of this in bracket. And I can have my log 2 to the base 2. Now, because I have log 2 to the base 2, the whole of this one will give me 1. Because log 2 to the base 2 gives you 1. Log 10 to the base 10 gives you 1. Log 5 to the base 5 will give you 1. So the whole of this goes to
Sir,
1.
please, we can't see anything.
And that is actually going to happen. Can anyone see something now? Or still not showing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you guys see anything I've written so far?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Hey, log in and log in, log out and log in again. Let me see, because this is strange. Because it's strange because the first one you saw it. I don't understand why this one you cannot see.
Hello, sir. If you
Yes.
show, but it will take time after you have finished explaining for some time before it will come.
Okay. When I'm done, I'll go over it again. But I want to see whether it will show. So when I'm done, I'll go over it again. So don't worry. And they also are saying they cannot even see anything. That's why I'm worried. But if you have seen what I've written so far, please don't worry. I'll go over it again. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Please, I want to know if it's being recorded.
Yes, for Teams, everything is recorded. So when we are done with the meeting, go to your chat room. You should be able to see the recorded thing.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this one now becomes log to the base 2. When I'm done, I'll go over it again. I'm sure by then it will be showing. Okay. N plus 1. All minus 1. Okay, basically this. So I remember someone was saying that he had an answer of log to the base 2 n plus 1 minus 1 or so. If that was the person who had it, then that is the correct answer. So now I'm sure it can show now. So I can go over it again from the beginning. So this one, everyone can see. N equals to 2 raised to the power h plus 1 or minus 1. Dennis, is it Dennis? Please mute. Please. Okay. want to know whether is it Bright who was disturbed so that I disable the person's mic. But I'm not sure. Maybe Bright to be innocent. Bright, were you the one disturbing? So obviously you will not say he's the one. I would have disabled this mic right now. Okay, so we move on. So I'm going to use my pointer to walk you through. I'm sure by now it has taken time, but it's showing now. Okay, so we have n equals to 2 raised to the power h plus 1 or minus 1. Now we are expected to make h the subject to know the height based on the number of nodes given. So we start by moving this minus 1 to the left side. So that we're going to have n plus 1 to be equal to.
Right.
Listen, can you monitor the one who is disturbing? I'll just mute the person.
Say please is Bright.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
That you are disturbing.
Okay, so I was right. It was a Bright guy. So let me just disable his mic. Next time he'll not do that again. That's fine. All right, so we have his mic disabled, so we can move on now. All right, so now we're good to go. So what I was saying that the minus 1 comes to the left. That gives you n plus 1 to be equal to 2 raised to the power h plus 1. Now, if I come to the next line, all I'm going to do.
Tabi Ebenezer, can you please mute your mic? Tabi Ebenezer. Tabi Ebenezer.
So don't worry yourself. Let me just disable that guy's mic. Tabi, I've seen him. Okay, thank you. So we move on. Please, by now everyone can see all the writings, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we take log on both sides, log to the base 2. The reason we are taking log to the base 2, so that we can get rid of this particular 2, right? So when I take log to the base 2 of 2h to the power h plus 1, whatever I do to the right-hand side, I need to do the same to the left-hand side. And in doing the same to the left-hand side, I need to put n plus 1 or in bracket so that the log to the base 2 affects n plus 1. Likewise, the log to the base 2 also affects 2 raised to the power h plus 1. Now, when I do that from the rules of logarithm, I know that if I have log of a number raised to another number, that power can be in front of the log. So that gives me moving h plus 1 all the way to act as a number in front of the log. So I'm going to have h plus 1 log 2 to the base 2. Then I still have my left-hand side maintained, right? Log 2 n plus 1 or log n plus 1 to the base 2. Now, because I have log 2 to the base 2, the whole of that will cancel and gives me 1. Because that's a rule of logarithm. Log of x to the base x is the same as 1. Log of 10 to the base 10 is the same as 1. Log of 5 to the base 5 is the same as 1. So the whole of this gives me 1. And that's the main reason why we're taking the log of both sides. So if I get 1 there, then at the end I'm going to have h plus 1. So if I have h plus 1, right, then the left-hand side, which is log n plus 1 all the way to the base 2, my main mentality is to make h the subject. So this plus 1 has to move to the left side. So that's going to give me log n plus 1 to the base 2 minus 1. Then I'm good to go. So far, so good. Please, any question on that? Okay, good. So I assume everyone is okay here with this. So we can move on. So with the yes, yes.
The last part of it.
The last part, you mean this one? Oh, okay. So this one, I just moved it. I moved the plus 1 here to the left hand side.
Sure.
Can you see that? Right. So I've just switched it. Instead of writing log n plus 1 or minus 1 to be equal to h, I switched it.
It's not exponent.
It's -1.
Yes, it's -1. Because the exponent
Not
h
exponent.
plus 1 here has no longer become an exponent, it's a base now.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
So
Hello,
from
sir.
here to here.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Please. So
Yeah.
With the addition of logarithm. Okay. So I think we'll just end it. Fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please, if you have some issue, kindly go back and revise your logarithm rules. Okay. I think this particular one, only one person was mentioning the logarithm. The rest of you were messing up with it a little. So please, you need to do a little bit of revision on that. Okay. All right. So quickly we can easily move on. I want to be able to see what I can finish with the trees quickly and move on to the graphs. Someone is still disturbing. Please
Hello,
fish
sir.
out the person for me.
Solomon.
Yes.
Solomon, Dorcas.
Dorcas, you are the one disturbing. It's kind of I cannot. It's like you asking me to disable the mic of Nelson. Dorcas to is a rep, so I cannot do that. All right. So Dorcas, kindly advise yourself. All right. Okay. We move on, right? Good. So maximum number of nodes in a binary tree basically is going to be what we have 2h plus 1, 2 is the power h plus 1 or minus 1, right? Yes. Please go ahead.
Apart from H equals to log 2, have you written something else?
Apart from h equals to log, no, I've not written anything. That's the last thing I have.
Okay, sir.
Okay, great. So I think we can move on, right? So in here, if the height is 3, it's obvious we can easily be able to find the number of nodes, right? So assuming we are giving the height of a particular tree to be 3, we can easily be able to find the maximum number of nodes so that it will be n equals to 2 is the power 3 plus 1 or minus 1. And if you do that, you're expected to have 15 as the maximum number of nodes that particular tree of height 3 can take. Likewise, if you're also giving the number of nodes, you can also find the height from it based on this formula. Okay. So what is the height of a perfect tree having n nodes? That was what we looked at surely, right? So if we do that, we should be able to have our h to be equal to log of n plus 1 to the base 2 or minus 1. And then for a complete binary tree, remember our floor and the C function with it, we can have our h to be equal to the floor of log of n to the base 2. This is another formula we can think of, right? If we have a complete binary tree. That again. Someone is disturbing again. I don't know who the person is. Can you mute yourself?
Abby.
Please? It's Abby, right? Abby, this is your last chance, okay? All right, so let's look at the ADT, right? The alpha data type. Basically, we want to look at some operations when it comes to the tree data structure. So we're going to have empty, which is going to return whether that particular tree is empty. If it is true, then it's going to say that that particular tree is empty. If it is false, it means that that particular tree contains some nodes. The size will give us the total number of elements in that particular tree. And then, of course, you're going to look at the pre-order, the in-order, and then the post-order. The pre-order basically is dealing with you visiting the visit is the first function to use, right? So we're going to look at these three shortly. Then we're going to understand what happens with them. So if you want to be able to examine all the various nodes in the tree, we need to have 3 different methods or ways or approaches of tree traversal or tree visitation or examining the various nodes in the tree, which we call the traversal. So let's start with the in-order traversal, right? Or the in-order visitation or examination of the nodes in the tree. So first, the left subtree is visited first, then the root node, then the right subtree. So here, The key emphasis is on the root. If it is in order, it means that the root node is the one visited in between. That's why it's called in order. So in order means that I'm going to have the left subtree first, followed by the root, followed by the right. So how do I go by it? So if I have this particular tree structure, right, all I need to do is that I need to be able to visit the left subtree. And what is the left subtree? Let me use my pointer here for you to understand. So the left subtree basically will be this. And this will be the root, followed by the right subtree. Now, mind you, if I'm at the right subtree or the left subtree, yes.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Where is the pointer?
The slide is delaying and the pointer is also delaying, so we are kind of confused. Slide is delaying.
I can't.
When you start using the pointer, you can't see.
Maybe let me stop sharing and share again and see whether this will work. Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm sharing now. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Not yet.
Can you see?
Well,
Can you
can't
see
your
the
pointer
pointer
yet?
to?
No, sir.
No, sir, the pointer. You can't see the pointer.
Can't see the pointer.
You can't see the pointer. Can't see the pointer. Yes, please.
What about now?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes. It's now coming. Not yet.
Started delaying.
The pointer is not in, right?
Yes.
Can you see the pointer now?
Yes, sir. It's on 1B. It's on it, but
Yes, it's on B.
Yes, sir. It's on B.
Okay, so now I've moved it to D. Can you see it's at D now?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's still on B. Okay, so let's forget about the pointer, right? Let's deal with the numbers, okay? And that will work for you. So if you see, for the in order traversal, we are saying that we need to go to the left subtree. And the left subtree is the pointer where you see the pointer at B, right? That place is the left subtree. Then the root, which you can see an arrow pointing to the root. Then the right will be where the 3 is. So the left subtree is where the number 1, the big one here is. We go to the root number 2. We come to the 3, which is the right subtree. So I'm going to show the answer that is going to be easy for us to follow. So our main thing is how we're going to be able to deal with the visitation or the examination of the various nodes. So quickly, what I'm going to do is very simple. In the left subtree, there is a D, which basically becomes the first node to visit. So I'll visit D. When I'm done with D, which is the number 1, I need to go to B, which is number 2, B for boy. Then when I'm done with B for boy, I need to go to E for elephant, which is number 3. Then I've completely exhausted the left subtree. So that's why I say forget about the pointer, just follow with the numbers. Okay? Then when I'm done, if I'm done with the left subtree, I need to go to the root, the main root, which is A. Because that is the next to visit. Remember, in order means that left subtree, followed by the root, followed by the right. But when I'm at the left subtree, D is visited first. Remember, the left subtree also has B for boy as a root. Then I cannot come to the right subtree, which is E. And that's why I have D, B, E for the left side. Then I can move on to A, which is the main root. Then from there, I can now come to the right subtree, where the 3 is the main 3. You can see the right subtree there. Now, at the right subtree too, I need to visit the left, which is F, and go to C, which is the root, and then come to J, which is the right. Then I'm done. So I'll go over it again. Start in order, start with the left subtree. Pick left, go to root, pick right. So in this case, D, B, E. When I'm done, I go to A. Then I can now come to the right subtree, which is going to be F, C, and then J. Did you all get it? You get it. You get it. All right.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please, I'm not seeing what you're writing or what you're illustrating. I'm not seeing it.
Sorry, I'm not writing anything. I'm just sharing my screen.
Sir, hello, sir.
I'm not writing anything because there are numbers.
Hello,
there are
sir.
numbers on the screen now. So these are the yes.
So basically, if I really understand
These are,
what you just explained, please, if I really understand what you just explained, does it mean for the entire tree, you consider the subroot on the left first, and within that subroot on the left, you consider the leaf on the rest to be the on the left to be the first thing you assess.
perfect. They cannot go to the top, which is the root of that left subtree. They cannot come to the right leaf. Okay. So basically, that's what I'm saying. Now, let's look at the pre-order. Maybe the understanding will also come with the pre-order, but they're all different. Don't forget. So here too, I'm not showing any, I'm not using my pointer. I'm still using the numbers. And if you can see, I've even showed the answer, the output. So I'm carrying a pre-order traversal. If you can see my screen.
The first one.
I should go back again.
And the previous one. Just down.
Can you see now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Does it come?
No, we are still on the pre-order.
Yes, I'm at in order now. So next now has made me go back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Understood. Yes, sir. So we can proceed, sir.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So now I've gone to the pre-order. So let me see whether that screen can show. If you can see it, let me know, right? But whilst it's keeping a long time to show, I can just briefly tell you what you should expect for the pre-order. So for pre-order, all we need for pre-order is that the root node will be visited first. So remember, as I said, the emphasis on the root. If it's in order, root is visited in between. If it's pre-order, root is visited first. If root is visited first, then we need to now go to the left subtree and then go to the right afterward. So pre-order, emphasis on the root. Root is visited first, followed by the left subtree, followed by the right subtree. Are you okay with that? So if that is the case, we don't have any issue here with pre-order. So my main thing is I have to start with the root node, which is A. Then when I'm done, I go to the left subtree. Now when I go to the left subtree, because emphasis is still on the root, I will still visit the root of the left subtree first, which in this case is going to be B, B for boy. So when I'm at B for boy, I can now go to the left subnode, which is D, D for dog, and that is the number 2. Then I can now come to the right, which is the E, number 3. Then I'm done with the left. Then the next thing I need to go is to go to the right subtree. At the right subtree, I need to pick C for cat, which is the root. That's the number 1 there. Then I can come to number 2 at the right subtree, which is F. Then lastly, I can end with number 3, which is J. Then I'm done with the pre-order. I repeat. For pre-order, emphasis on the root. So I'm going to start with the root subtree, the root node, which is going to be A. When I'm done with the A, I can now move on to be able to go to the left subtree. When I'm at the left subtree, remember number one at the left subtree is the root, which is B, B for boy. Then I can now come to the left node, which is D, D for dog, number 2. Then I can now go to 3, which is E. When I'm done with the left, I have to now go to the right subtree. At the right subtree, emphasis is still on the root. So I go to C, number 1. Then I come to 2, F. Then I can now go to J, which is 3. Then I'm done. Any question on that?
Please, sir, can you take it again?
Sir.
Hello, sir.
Sir.
Yes.
In this case,
Please, I can't hear you.
in order, we started from left side, which is D, B, E, followed by the root before coming to the right side.
Come again.
I'm talking about the in order. We started from the left side, from G, E, E, followed by the root.
But in order, remember, in order, emphasis is on the roots always. So in order, the root to be in the middle to be visited. Pre means before. So if you are dealing with in order, your root to be the second to visit. If you are dealing with the pre-order, your root will be the first to visit. And of course, if you are dealing with post-order, post means after, the root will be the last to visit. If you get this, if you got what I said, you don't have any issue with anything again. In order means root is in between. And always I go to the left. If it's in order, then I come to the root, then I come to the right. If it's pre-order, root is first. After the root, I go to the left, then I come to the right. If it's post-order, root is the last. Meaning that I'll go to the left, I'll come to the right, then I'll go to the root.
Okay, so I understand.
Did you all get it?
So you get it. In order, left, root, and right. The play order, root, left, right. And the post order, left, right, and the root.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Okay, so
yes, please, can you hear?
Yeah. Sir, so
can we
please,
move
in
on
this
to the
case,
post order?
Yes, sir.
hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes,
Sir, so
please go
please, in
ahead.
this case, the root is the only thing that changes. The right to left is always constant, right?
The left to yes, the left and right is always constant. It's the root which is changing based on whether it's in order, pre-order, or post-order. That's why I said that the emphasis on the root.
Okay.
You get it?
Yes,
Okay, so let's look at the post-order here.
So, but if the root is changing, definitely if the root change, the rest will also change. But if the root goes out, some will come in. So all change, but just that when you keep track of the roots, it will be easier.
Basically, that so keep track of the roots. That's what we are saying. Yeah. So the emphasis is always on the roots. If it is pre, means that the root is first. If it is post, meaning that the root is visited last. If it is in, it means that the root is in between, is the second to visit in all cases. So if you can see my screen now on post-order traversal, you realize that for the post-order, still emphasis on the root is visited last. The left is always the first, it will not change. We don't go to right and come to the left. We don't do that switch. So in this case, if I'm dealing with the post-order, because the root is last, I'm actually going to go to the left and I'm going to come to the right. Then I'm going to now go to what? The root. Can you see that? So what do I have? I'm going to have the left subtree visited first. In this case, I'm going to have D for dog, E for elephant, and then B for boy. Then I'm done with the left subtree. Then I now go to the right subtree. Follow the same dynamics. F, J, and then C. When I'm done with the right subtree, then I can now go to the root, which is A. Then I'm done.
Hello, sir.
Did you all get it? Yes.
Hello, sir. So how about if the
Sir,
subtrees
sir, please.
are more than 2?
Please come again.
I was asking, how about if the subtrees are more than 2? Maybe let's say 3 or 4.
Binary has
You still
We
follow the
cannot
same
have,
order.
we cannot have that. We are dealing with binary.
binary.
Don't forget.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
Sir, please, with regards to
Okay.
the question the gentleman just asked, please, can you clarify that again? He's saying that maybe if it is not in that order, but maybe the other way around. I didn't hear the feedback, please.
That wasn't what he said. He was saying that if the number of maybe the nodes is more than 3 and more than 2, right? How would you go by it? Like example, B will be branching to D, E, and then maybe let's say there's an X somewhere. And I'm saying that because it's binary, the maximum we can have is 2. Okay. So that was the agreement we had.
Okay, so sir, please. So what of if like you are still considering the tree on the left, but then the alphabet changes, like the numbers changes, like maybe you come to 2, then 1, and then 3. How about that one also, please?
And I'm so saying that the numbers you are seeing there, I have placed them there to make it easy for you. In a real life situation, there are no numbers. So there are
Okay, yeah,
nodes.
sure.
So if you are saying that you're going to have the switch of the alphabets, then all I'm saying is you cannot go to right before you come to left. That is not done anyway. The starting will be the left. If it is in order, if you go with the left, you go to the roots because the roots will be in between. Then you go to the right. You never start with the right. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
So please don't switch. All right. So if you are okay with that, we can move on, right?
Hello, sir. Please, can there be a case where F is also having a subroot?
Whereby which one will have a subroot, please?
With the F. As in Afro,
Okay, if the
as
F
in
probably branches to another node.
yes, please.
Yes, there can be instances like that. So in that case, you still go with your left. When you come to the right, right? Because the F in your case is branching down. There's some feedback from your end, Frimpong. Okay, because the F is branching down, in that case, if I'm supposed to deal with the left, when I come to the right subtree, I need to go down to where that branching is coming from the F and visit them first before I can even come to the F itself. So can you see? You realize that A was branching to B and branching to C. I never went to A. I came to the B. So if F is also branching down, when I'm at the right subtree, I need to go to the one branching down to the left. I'll finish it. Then I can go to the right. Then I can pick the F as the root. Please, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Always follow the rule. And then irrespective of how the structure of the tree is. Okay. Is any other further question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Please, I want to worry you a bit. I'm getting it that maybe when it happens, so we are considering the tree on the left first. But what I am asking is that when you are considering the one on the left, okay, can the alphabet, if you should interchange them, maybe list the B before the E before the G. If it goes that way, is it still right or it's wrong? Please, sir.
No, it's wrong. That's what I'm saying, that you can't go to right. You can't interchange them. It's a rule. The
Okay.
left has to be the first. That's what I've been saying.
Okay.
Please, do you understand?
Yes, please, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So let's look at how we can delete a node. Now, so in deletion of a node, there are two main steps we need to follow. One of the things we need to understand is first step is search for the given node and identify its parent. Then now we can now go ahead to make the main deletion of the node. And in deleting the node, we can have three options. Node to be deleted has no children. The other one is node to be deleted has one child. And the other one is node to be deleted has two children. So let's look at it. I'm going to the next slide, see whether you can see it. So you can see my share screen on deleting a node, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So we
sir.
are the A part. Node to be deleted has no children. So remember we said that if you want to make a deletion, there are instances whereby there are three things you need to follow. The first one we are looking at now is a node to be deleted has no child. Now, a typical example here is we want to delete the -4 you see there. Can you see that? The -4 you want to delete, it has no child. So all we are going to do is very simple. We are going to remove that node, which is the -4, and then point the 2, which is the parent of the -4, to null. So if you look at the right-hand side, you realize that 2 is pointed to some faded ash rounded thing. And that is it. So 2 will point to nothing. That is why we're saying 2 is pointing to null. So if we want to delete and it is at the it's a particular node without any child, then we don't need to worry ahead. All we need to do is that we just remove that node and then we point the parent to the position that node we deleted was. That's it. Does it make sense to everyone? Okay, so let's move on to another instance whereby the node to be deleted has one child. So in this case, if the node to be deleted has one child, then we're going to take an example. If you see, can you all see my shared screen on the B part? Node to be deleted has one child.
Yes, sir.
You can see, right? Good. So I am deleting 18, which is in red on the left side. And 18 has one child, 21. and the parent of 18 is 5. So in this case, all we are going to do is that we're going to link the single child, which is 21, to the parent node to be deleted. The parent node is what? Is 5. So once we set the pointer of 5 all the way to 21, 18 is now nothing. It's not connected to anything. Because the connection from 5 to 18 and from 18 to 21 has been moved. And now we have the connection from 5 all the way to 21, meaning that 18 is no longer in existence. So when you go back, you realize that after the deletion on the extreme right, 5 is now pointing to the child of the node deleted, which is the 21. And then we are going to go. Do you understand? Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please. We are good
Okay,
to go.
so I assume you understand. All right. Now,
Yes,
let's move on to the last instance of deletion, whereby here, the node to be deleted has 2 children. Remember, we are still dealing with binary trees. So if you are dealing with binary trees, then in this situation, we can have a maximum of 2 children. Okay? All right. So if the node to be deleted, so no one should ask me the question, what if the node to be deleted has 3 children? And that is beyond your scope of focus now. Okay? When you are looking at data structures in second year, then you can ask that question. But for now, let's focus on what we have. Okay? So, of course, there's also if you want to delete it when it is 3 nodes, there is an answer. But let's try and focus on what we have here. Okay, because you're in first year, you're not going to second year, going to third year, so you'll be looking at advanced stuff. Now, here, the node to be deleted has 2 children. In that case, the example here is 12, right? If you pick the node 12 in red, on the left side, you realize that it has 9 and 21 as the children. Now, if that is the case, we are going to look at the first thing. The first thing we need to do, if you have such instance, you only have to be able to understand the fact that find the minimum element in the right subtree, right? So if you pick 12, by now each and everyone will know the right subtree and the left subtree. So there's a rule. The rule is simple. The rule says that if I want to delete a particular node and it has 2 children, my focus has to be on the right subtree. So if you can see my pointer, the right pointer is on 21. And 21 all the way to 1925, that is the right subtree of the root to be deleted, which is 12. So the first thing is your focus should be on the right subtree. In this case, no one should ask me why left, why not left. It's a rule. Please, do you understand? The same way we're dealing with the pre-order, our left, we can't entertain it with the right. So some of the rules are established. You need to be able to find means to absorb it. Sometimes there are no explanation to it. This is a rule. And the way the person brought that rule up, that is how it works. Okay. It's like in network, there's something we call handshake. When you're dealing with handshake, once the sender communicates with the receiver has to bring a feedback, and the feedback now has to be sent from the sender to the receiver again to establish a synchronized handshake. And someone asks a question, why is it that when the sender gives it to the receiver gets back to the sender again? Why should the sender go back again to the? I said, no, that is how the handshake established is done. For you to be making sure that we're on the right path. Then someone also asked, why can't we have the feedback again coming back again to the sender and going back again? I said, you do that so that we cannot be able to reach a consensus. So there are instances whereby certain things are rules. And the way the rules are established and published, we need to be able to kowtow to it. Now, the one who introduced the deletion of the node mentioned the fact that if you are going to make a deletion and that particular node has 2 children, your focus shouldn't be on the left, it should be on the right subtree. The right subtree, you are expected to look at the minimum element in the right subtree. So the right subtree, we have 21, we have 19, we have 25. Now the minimum here is 19. So once I pick that minimum 19, I am going to now do another 10, right? All I'm going to do is that I'm going to replicate the 12 to be deleted with that minimum, which is the 19. Can you see that? So the minimum here is 19. So I am going to use that 19 to replace the 12, which I'm going to delete. So at the end, I'm going to have 19, which is that node that was to be deleted. And then I'm going to have the minimum 19. That's it. So I repeat that again. I repeat that. If I'm going to delete a particular node and that node to be deleted, answer, can you keep quiet? If I'm going to delete a node, in this case, the 12, and then I realize that at the right subtree, I have 12, 21, 19, 25. The minimum among that is 19. So I pick the 19 and I use it to replace the 12 to be deleted. That's it. Once I do that, I am going to have what you are currently seeing on your screen on the left-hand side. You see that the 19 is used to replace the 12 that was supposed to be deleted. Remember, my interest is to remove the 12. But to remove the 12, I'm just following a procedure. The procedure says that 12 you wanted to delete, look at the right subtree, not the left. The right subtree has 21, 19, 25. Pick the minimum, which is 19. When you pick the minimum 19, you are going to replace that 12 to be deleted with the 19. And that's what you can see now. So if you check where my pointer is, you realize that it is no longer 12, but rather 19. So then what next? All I'm going to do is that I'm now going to delete that 19, which is there. That's it. Then I'm good to go. So at the end, the final tree is no longer going to have the 12, but rather the 12 is going to be replaced with the 19, and I'm good to go. So I delete that 90, which was at the right subtree. I can see a hand up. Any question on this?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Please, my question is that so why didn't you use the 9, which is also a minimum number, instead of the 19 you used?
Okay, so we cannot use the 9 because the 9 is the left subtree. Please, do you understand? Remember, the focus is the right subtree. So I'll go back again here.
Sir,
Right?
please, the 9 is on
The
the
red,
right subtree.
this one.
The
This is
9.
the right subtree. That's what I'm saying, that the 9 is the left subtree. Remember, the rule says that focus on the right subtree.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I've circled now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is everyone okay? Yes.
Sir.
No,
So
sir,
yes, please go ahead.
You made us understand that
You are still not
a node is sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So you made us understand that a single node is a tree. Now,
yes.
With regards to this very tree, I mean the one on the left, the very screen I showed you. Now this time around, I want to delete 21 instead of the 12. So now considering 21, in this case, the subtree here is the subtree. We have two subtrees, which is the 19 and the 21, and they are all subtrees. But in this case, the right subtree will be
19 and
25. Yes.
Yeah,
So the
19,
right
25.
subtree. So my right subtree will now be 25.
Perfect.
Right. And that 25 does not
So
have any children beneath
the
it.
minimum
So
will
the
still be
minimum
25.
25. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yes. The minimum will still be 25. So I'm going to use that 25 to replace the 21.
The 21.
You get it right?
So the 90 will extend as the
Yes.
child of the 25. Yes.
Perfect. That's it. So after deletion, I'm going to have the 25 pointing to the 19.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Please, any other further question? So the lady who asked the question, and she's not convinced why I didn't use the 9. That is why now I've circled the right subtree for you to see. The 9 is not part of the right subtree. That is why we didn't consider the 9. Okay? So Nelson's question here asks, imagine you also want to delete the 2, right? Because 2 has 2 children, -4 and 3. We focus on the right subtree, which is 3. And then I'm going to replace the 2 with a 3. So that at the end, the 3 will vanish. Then I'm going to have another 3 pointing to the -4. That's it. Okay? So it is a very simple thing. So far, so good. Okay. So there was some assignment I gave to the regular guys. I'll skip that, right? Don't worry about that. Okay. So any question on the trees? And then the pseudo code too, don't worry about that. Okay. I'm not disturbing the pseudo code. Because if I want to walk you through the pseudo code now, the questions that will come, you might not be able to finish and move on. Please, any questions so far?
I will not be tested on that. No, sir.
No, I'm not going to test you on that.
Hello, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you
Yes, I can hear you.
let us handle the questions together, the exercise or the assignment? I think that will help us.
No. The assignment, right? You made this one.
Yes.
Okay, if you want to try your hands on it, that's fine. But I'm not going to examine you on that. So I have assignment 1 given to you guys already. You write an IA, and that will climax it, and then we are good to go. But I really want to know how many weeks do you guys have before you write your final exams?
I think the exam is 29th of this month.
29th of this month, right?
29th April.
Okay, so how many weeks do we have so far?
3 weeks. 2 or 3.
About 3.
Like 3 weeks, right? Okay.
Yes,
so this is what I will do.
It's 29th April.
I'll meet you guys next week for us to do the graphs. I'll end at graphs. Okay. Then when we finish the graphs, then you can take your exams. Your IE. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe the following Monday. Or you want it the Wednesday. I don't know. Because you are weekend guys. Probably I can make it a Friday for you guys or Saturday. So not this Friday, but next week Friday. But I can be done with the graphs.
Friday.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'll meet you next week.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Will you give us the areas where the IA will cover that you prepare?
The IA will cover up to wherever we get to next week.
Sir, please, why not Saturday?
Yes, sir, Saturday, because Saturday, next week Saturday, we don't have any class.
So
Sir, please, I don't think the Saturday will be favorable. You guys are forgetting we will have 103 projects, right?
Okay, so the issue is, so that 103 is actually in the morning. Okay, so even after that, you don't have any other class. Actually, when you do it earlier, you can concentrate and revise for that. But I don't know. That's my suggestion. I don't know for the rest.
I think they have to suggest. They have to take a stand.
No, we are forgetting. Sir.
So you want it this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
No, not this Saturday.
This Saturday.
No, sir, please.
Sir, please.
Next week Saturday.
I'm very happy if it be this Saturday.
Please come again.
So please, you are saying that you meet us last. You said you meet us last. That is Sunday.
We want it on
So
Saturday.
the next day.
So we have agreed that not this Saturday, but next week Saturday. Is that not
okay? Yes, we are okay with that.
Yes. Yes, sir. The next attack.
So what percentage does the IA carry?
To that.
So what percentage does the IA carry?
What percentage?
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, you should go back and check the session 0. Exams is 50%, assessment is 50%. And already the assessment, you have been given assignment 1. And the IA2 is also another assessment. So your assignment 1 will carry 20, the IA will carry 30, and we're good to go. If you want me to do a double split, IA is 25. Your assignment 1 is also 25. Then we are good to go. And remember the IA is online.
Is it online?
Please, could the assignment some be posted on Sakai?
Yeah, it's 45. We're 45.
Sorry.
Yeah, please, could the assignment some be posted on Sakai?
Yes, the one.
Assignment 1 is already on Sakai. Or is on Sakai?
Yeah, it is. It did.
Yeah,
the one that we have to find use the ASCII table and all that. Right? That's the only was assignment.
Yes. Please, the IA will
Yeah,
it
has
already elapsed.
Yeah, so we did it already.
So I don't know who's asking assignment 1. Sorry, so the person asking whether assignment 1 is already on Sakai. I don't even know where he or she is coming from. Because that deadline, I know it has elapsed. So please. We are good to go, right? If there's issue on the assignment, communicate with Dorcas or Nelson. Then let me know. But as it stands now, yes. Your exams, as it stands now, might be the same way as your IA is going to be. Are you okay? But I'll confirm that so that when I meet you next week, I'll let you know.
Don't confirm.
Yeah, because we're thinking of probably sitting, but it's not confirmed yet. Okay. So that's why I said I'll confirm and I'll get back to you guys.
But you have to do it
you-
online. Thank you.
Charlie.
I'm Kumasi right now. You have to do it online.
All right. So is there any question for me?
Will it be objective?
You learn. What do you mean will it be objective? Please learn. When you learn, you'll be okay with it. So wherever we get to next week, that's where the IA will cover. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir. So we are supposed to do 13 or 10 because so far we've done 10. The 3 is 10, and the graph will be 11. Hello, sir.
Please, will this slide be on Sakai?
Charlie.
All right. So guys, I'll have to end the session if there's no tangible question.
So there's a question again.
Sir, I would like to meet you. Put that one, please.
You like to meet me? I'm on campus. If you come to the office, you see me. All right. So let me leave you guys and then I have another meeting. Let me 50 hours. Thank you guys. All right. Save guys.